Hello everybody. This will be my second lecture on development, and today I will talk about development assessment. So the last day, if we recollect, we had talked about what we mean by development and the neurobiology behind it, what is normal development, what are the milestones, and how to, in short, clinically, how to approach the patient. But I did not go into details. Today we will look at assessing development. Before doing that, we often come across two terms, and it is good to be clear about these two terms. One is screening, the other is assessment. What is the difference? Screening is when you put a simple test to a big population to pick up as many as you can whom you suspect to be suffering from a particular problem. Whereas assessment is doing an in-depth study of those to be make sure of exactly what the problem is and um, who are the ones who are suffering from that problem. So in screening, it is more about sensitivity, how many you can pick up, but there may be mistakes, there may be false positives. And in assessment, it is more about specificity. You those whom you have picked up, you have to be very specific about what problem you are dealing with. So, to make it sound simpler, screening is a quick process of elimination, and it is a quick and simple method. The tools are simple, and it can be done by anybody at the basic level, starting from a health, in case of developmental screening, from the level of a health worker, or maybe a primary physician or a busy pediatrician in his clinic. When there is less time in hand, he can at least screen out those who may be needing some special attention. And assessment is a long, in-depth process which is conducted by developmental specialists. These tools are more complicated, takes more time, and you get a more detailed report on doing an assessment. We will take a short look into both. Now, when we talk about screening, who does the screening at what level? Is it only at the level of the doctor? No. Screening starts right from the mother. The mother needs to be vigilant. And then maybe at the grassroots level, the health workers can do some screening. The primary physician or the primary pediatrician in his day-to-day clinic. And finally, the child development team. And as the persons doing it changes, the level of screening also changes. For the mother, it's very simple. There are four things we would like to concentrate on: social smile, head holding, sitting alone, and standing alone. And it's easy to remember. Did your child smile, have a social smile by 2 months? Did your child have head holding by 4 months, sitting alone by 8 months, and standing alone by 12 months? Then the child is developing normally. If not, there is some problem. Also, make sure that the child sees, hears, and listens. That means understands. Then we go a stage higher. In case of health workers, we go by a simple tool which we have just mentioned in the previous lecture. It's the commonest tool used in our country is the TDSC, Trivandrum Development Screening Chart. It was originally devised for 0 to 2-year-old children, and there were only 17 activities across 4 domains to be tested. Again, TDSC has been revised. It now goes up to 6 years, divided into 2, 0 to 3 years and 3 to 6 years. But we will today talk mostly about this 0 to 2 years TDSC screen. It's easy to administer and done very quickly. It takes 5 to 10 minutes at the most. This is how it looks. We will come and discuss a little more about it later on. Then, when we talk about detailed assessment, what is it that we want to do there? We want to make sure that is the development abnormal or normal? Make sure about it. If it is not normal, we would like to know which domains are affected and to what extent. Then we will look for the cause of the delay. what is the diagnosis? What is the problem with the child regarding development? Is there any underlying pathology that I can identify? Are there any comorbidities? Comorbidities like the child may have convulsions, the child may have behavioral problems, and a lot of other things. And does it fit into any particular syndrome? So all this will come under detailed assessment. So when a child's development needs to be assessed, it is not just developmental assessment, it's a total examination, because to find out the cause of the problem, to come to a definite diagnosis, comorbidities, syndrome, and everything, we have to go through the normal procedure of clinical assessment. So we start with history, then we go for physical examination, that is general survey, then a systemic examination. Our major focus is the neurological system, then the development assessment, PARSI, and investigations if required. All these taken together should come under the purview of clinical evaluation. So in history, I will not go into all details, but what are the major things that you must ask about? Antenatal and perinatal history is very important, because we know antenatal and, more importantly, perinatal insult may lead to brain damage and hence developmental uh, abnormalities. A family history is important if you are thinking of any disease that is running down the family, some hereditary problems, some syndromes. Family history may be very important. Developmental history, the milestones. Say a child comes with a particular problem. Say a child comes at 4 years and not talking. You would like to know whether the problem is only with speech now, or have the other developmental milestones been delayed too. So developmental history from the parents is also very important. Then we need to look into not just the milestones, but also the social development, which will be um, evident from a history about the child's behavior with the family, with other kids, in school, and his play. How does the child play? That is very, very informative. Along with that, we will again take history of comorbidities like, as I mentioned, seizures, weakness of the limbs, some behavioral problems, and so forth. Then we go on to general examination. In general examination, the areas which are very important pertaining to development are: number one, anthropometry. Why? On one side, developmental problems may be associated with growth retardation as well. So we need to find that out. Number two, there may be disproportionate growth, which is often seen along with developmental delay in some syndromic conditions. We will also look for dysmorphism. Then the posture of the child, the spine, may give us a lot of information regarding any neurological or neuromuscular disease which may be associated with developmental issues. Neurocutaneous markers must be looked for, because we often come up with neurocutaneous disorders associated with developmental delay. And finally, we should not miss eye contact. In a general survey, it will be very evident in a 4-year, 5-year-old child who is not looking at you, who is not making eye contact. There are certain conditions we have to think of. Then coming on to the neurological examination, we will do a thorough neurological examination starting from level of consciousness right up to motor and sensory. But two aspects are very important pertaining to development. One is the primitive reflexes. Persistence of primitive reflexes are a common accompaniment of cerebral palsy. So that is something we need to look into. Another thing that is very important is tone, particularly in small children. Why? Because little babies who are in the process of evolving cerebral palsy need to be picked up very early. And this evolving CP may not be evident in the earlier months of life through development, because we know in CP the major aspect that is affected is the motor aspect. Now, motor delay will not be very evident in the very early few months of life. Say a 3-month-old baby. What motor milestone would we expect? Head holding is just starting. So it may or may not be there. Nothing, it means, so we might miss. But what will be evident is an abnormality of tone. So detecting tone abnormality early in the first year of life often helps us in diagnosing an ensuing cerebral palsy, hence very important. How do we examine tone? There is a specific method I would like to discuss over here, which we know as Amel-Tyson method. Amel-Tyson method is particularly applied in case of little babies at 3, 6, 9, and 12 months to ascertain the tone. It can be done up to 5 years, but these are the major times where any tone abnormality will indicate that the child may be having an ensuing problem, as I said. And though Amel-Tyson method mostly concentrates on tone assessment, active and passive, but the original Amel-Tyson scoring takes into account a few more things like the jerks, knee jerk, ankle clonus, and primitive reflexes. Coming to tone, the active tone is assessed by a pull to sit maneuver. And for passive tone, we assess some angles. What are these angles? Number 1, adductor angle. Number 2, popliteal angle. Number 3, scarf sign. These three are the most important. Adductor angle is the angle that is formed at the symphysis pubis by the two thighs on trying to abduct the thighs. So, if there is an adductor spasm, the angle will be less, which indicates increased tone. Similarly, we look for the popliteal angle by flexing the hip with the hip in a flexed position. We try to extend the knees, and the angle formed at the back of the knee is the popliteal angle. Both of these angles are decreased in case of increased tone and vice versa. Scarf sign, you all know, the hand is pulled to the other, the hand is pulled towards the other shoulder, and without exerting too much of a pull, how far does it go? Does the elbow cross the midline or not? If the tone is increased, the elbow will not reach the midline. And on the other hand, if there is very poor tone, it will go way beyond the midline. So these angles are measured, and there is a chart age wise what is the normal range and whether it is going beyond that range. Accordingly, all of these can be scored, and we get a score for the Amel-Tyson by the Amel-Tyson method, which gives us an information about the child's neuromotor development. Then, as I mentioned about the history, yes, milestones we would like to know. I just want to add here what are some of the common things that we can ask the mother. The mother cannot tell us about all the milestones, and if we keep on bombarding the mother with a lot of questions, she might get confused. When did your baby smile? When did your baby learn to turn over? When did your baby learn to sit? In a case of a 6-year-old boy, the mother wouldn't be able to tell us anything. So we must be um, very pertinent in our questions and ask questions which we expect the mother to answer. Here we have a list of common things that mothers are generally aware about. And also note here that I start with preference for mother, which develops very early in life. And at the end, I talk about can the child count, can the child tell stories. So this happens much later, around 3, 4 years of age. So, for developmental assessment, we would definitely not ask every mother all these questions. It would not make sense. So, with this list, we will find out which are pertaining to the child that I am examining. For a small baby, we can ask the mother, does the child show a preference for the mother? Has the child developed social smile? Then, for a baby nearing 1 year, 8 months to 1 year, is there separation anxiety? Can he indicate his needs? Can he feed himself? Second year of life, can he put on his clothes? Third year of life, is he pretending in his play? Is there role playing, playing like mom, playing like dad? Does he play with peers in the third year? And then counting, telling stories. These are some common questions we might ask to get an idea. So with this much about the history and clinical examination, now we go into the developmental assessment as such. And for that we need certain tools. Tools again are numerous. Some tools are meant for screening, as I told you earlier. I told you about the TDSC. Now we will show you how to do it. Then there are certain tools for detailed assessment. There are certain tools for intelligence testing and some for developmental aberrations for specific disorders like ADHD, autism, learning disability. There are separate tools. Those I will not be discussing today. When the next day when we talk about developmental delays, I will talk about them a little bit. Now let's look into the tools for screening and the tools for assessment. TDSC. I just showed you the picture a little few slides back. So this is it. What do we have here? We see below that there are some numbers. These 1 to 24, they in months, they indicate the age of the child. Whereas here we see some bars. There are 17 bars and beside the bar is written certain activities like social smile, eyes follow pencil, holds head steady. So all these activities, when are they supposed to be achieved? It's always an age range. There is not a specific date when a milestone will be achieved. So that range, the normal range between which it should be achieved is shown by a black bar. That's it. And these 17 items cover all four domains, and these are very common things that can be tested easily. What we have to do is we get the child's age. And remember here, because we're talking about children up to 2 years, we go for the corrected age. That is, if the baby is born prematurely, we calculate the age according to the child's, the mother's EDD. Then expect what the child's age would have been hadn't been born at term. And according to that age, we draw our age line. Suppose the child is 10 months old, we draw a line over here. Now, we will test the items that are crossing the line and the items that are lying to the left of the line. Now, if he can perform the activities crossing the line, fine. Even if he cannot, we will not comment on that because there is still time left for him to be able to do it. Say a 10-month-old baby, we ask him, can he do pat cake? He cannot. So that's acceptable because the range for pat cake goes right up to 14 months. But if the child fails to perform any activity lying to the left of the line, left of the age line, then he is marked as screening positive for developmental delay. That is, the child may be having developmental delay. I repeat, we draw the age line, and if there is one failure of the activities lying to the left of the line, at least one, then the child is considered to have developmental delay. And then what are the things that we need to do all this development test? We need a developmental kit. Your teachers will be telling you to have a development kit ready, which you will need in the wards, which you'll need for your exams. It's very simple. What you need is a rattle or a bell to make some sound. You need a torch for light, a red ring, a ball, preferably a red one, and a small doll, a small bottle or a cup, some small beads or pellets or maybe puffed rice or raisins, something small that the child can hold with a pincer grasp, and paper and crayons and some blocks. That is all that we need. Okay. This picture shows another screening tool known as the Denver 2 or DDST tool. This is an internationally accepted screening tool, but as you see, it is more complicated. We have here some 54 items across 4 domains, and the domains are separately marked so that we can do a screening of all the domains separately. So you do not need to know the details of this. Then coming to the assessment tools, Assessment tools, as I mentioned earlier, are much more complicated, much more time consuming, but just know the names. The Indian one that is commonly used is known as DASI. It is based on Baroda norms. And the internationally accepted one is Bailey 3. Both of these take a lot of time. DASI takes about 45 minutes to 1 hour to perform. Bailey 3 takes nearly 2 hours. And these are useful up to the age of 5 years in case of Bailey, and for DASI it is 2.5 years, that is 30 months of age. So, what happens after that? After that, we can go for some intelligence tests. It's known as the Wechsler test or the Binet test. I will not go into details of these, but just know that for children aged more than 3 months, more than 6 years, it is an intelligence test that we go for. So, this is more or less all about developmental assessment. Thank you.